Milan and Salernitana battle to a 3-3 draw, but Don, it's really all about Olivier Giroud and Stefano Pioli saying farewell. Who are you going to miss more?
Did you see Pioli's speech last night? Quite moving.
I did.
It was quite moving. I'm a Pioli fan. I think the job that he's done has been pretty good. I've always looked at Inter having the best squad over the last 4 or 5 years. I think Pioli's done really well. But Giroud is going to be missed. I think he's a very, very underrated striker. I can remember going back to the World Cup a few years ago, Gab, and I think France played, I think it was Australia, and they played Mbappe, Dembele, and Giroud was on the bench, and he didn't get a look in, and Griezmann was the other one, and I think they drew 0-0, or they didn't play particularly well, and they never really got a chance, and the three of them on paper, you'd go, my God, that's like a phenomenal three. They just keep running into each other's spaces, all over the shop. They put Giroud in the second game, they went on and won the World Cup, because he's effective at what he does. Never lets you down, scores great goals, great for, as a midfield player myself, he's your ideal target man. Gets hold of the ball, brings everyone into the game. Zirkzee,
Sesko, Jonathan David, these are the names that are out there. I don't think it's going to be Jonathan David, but we'll see.
Roma lose to Empoli on the final day of the Serie A season, Gab, finishing on 63 points, which was exactly where they finished last season under Jose. Gab, do you still think it was the right choice to replace him for De Rossi?
It was the right choice because Jose Mourinho wouldn't have signed a contract extension and they couldn't afford to keep Jose Mourinho on the salary he was on. So then you're moving the transition 6 months forward. And it showed that with De Rossi, just purely from that aspect, right? Once it was obvious that Jose Mourinho wasn't going to sign his contract, you might as well get started on the next phase.
And he had immediate impact, didn't he?
He had an immediate impact. It's not like the team fell apart. He completely overhauled the way they played, I think, in terms of the way he presented himself in public. I mean, they did much better than under Mourinho. He avoided the controversy. People like him. Yeah. You've got now a coach who's not costing you a lot of money, who's obviously a hometown hero, and you're ready to go. And he already has those 6 months under his belt. Let's see what happens with preseason. Had they kept Mourinho, maybe they could have been in the Champions League. Maybe they wouldn't. But even if they'd gone to the Champions League, they would still be going into next season without Mourinho, with needing a new manager you're throwing into the deep end. And by the way, it's by no means guaranteed that Mourinho would have gotten them into the Champions League. With a different draw, with a better draw, maybe they wouldn't have played Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah. You know, just imagine it went the other way around. Man, imagine they played Marseille in the semifinal. Yeah. Atalanta beat Bayer Leverkusen. Atalanta beat Bayer Leverkusen and end the streak. And then in the final, Roma play Atalanta and win. I know there's a lot of, alternate sliding door situations. But I think what's obvious, and so this along, the decision to part ways with Mourinho was because he was not sustainable financially.
Turkey, I've read.
Gobble. Yeah, we'll see. I don't want him to go to Saudi Arabia. Not ready for you. I think a national team, I've said this all along, is a good solution for him.
Artem Dovbik's hat-trick in Girona's 7-0 win over Granada on Friday means he's top goal scorer in La Liga. But is it sad ending to your pal Alexander Soroth?
So a couple of things on this. First and foremost, last day of the season, you see screwy goals totals, screwy
mad
things
games
are going on. Granada have just nosedived at the end of the season. Even Almeria finished above them. Almeria, I said all season long, they're probably the best team in history not to win a game when they had that incredible run with 25 games without a win or whatever it was. I'm happy at least they finished ahead of Granada. Dovbik's had a phenomenal season. Ends on 24 goals. But going into the final day, Villarreal away to Osasuna, I thought, all right, silly season, nothing to play for. The only living Soroth in captivity is going to go, and he's going to get the 2 goals, and he's going to be Pichichi, and we're going to love it. 2 Norwegian top scorers in the Big Five leagues.
would have been all How over
about
it.
That? Exactly. Instead, he has a chance on goal. Something pulls out, looked muscular. Comes off after 50 minutes. It was it's a heartbreak. It would be more of a heartbreak if then it meant he would miss the Euros for Norway. But hey, look, Norway aren't at the Euros, despite Soroth, Holland, and Martin Odegaard. But we've been through that. So I feel bad for him. I want him to repeat this. I want to see if this can't just be a one-off. And all 23 goals from open play, by the way. That is a ton of goals on a team, as we've said before, that underachieved this season, a team that had 3 different managers, and yet he just plowed through it and scored a lot of goals. Napoli finished the season in the most depressing way, a scoreless draw against Lecce. But Don, I guess the good news is that Antonio Conte is reportedly on his way to liven things up. Do you like this?
Good news. Is it? Fireworks. Great for us.
Well, he's going to go and kick some rear ends.
And he's going to blame De Laurentiis. He's going to say, why are you not giving me any money? Why have you invested? Why I need more money? I need another 200 million. Please give me more money. De Laurentiis is going to say, start coaching these players into being good again. Yeah, but I need more money. Fireworks, it tells me, Gab.
Yeah, the only way this works is if Conte had a come to Jesus moment and De Laurentiis tells him and sold him on the idea that, hey, Antonio, you know what really impressed me about you? Yeah, it's not just the titles you won at Chelsea, at Inter, at Juve. It was when you were the Italy coach at Euro 2016, and Italy had probably the least talented international squad that they've had in history. And you took that midfield where everybody was injured and kind of rubbish and stuff, and you made it work because you were a genius and you convinced ordinary players that they were good players and it could work. And, you know, we went out on penalties against Germany and the stupid Zaza run up. But look, Zaza's playing for Italy. Can you imagine that? This is what you need to do, right? So Conte says, yeah, I'll do that.
So, Mr. Laurent, are we keeping Osimhen? No, we're selling him.
Oh, that's fine. I'll make it work.
What about
Kvaratskhelia?
No, we're going to sell him as well.
That's okay. I have Captain Jack. I've got Di Lorenzo. I will work.
Well, you will work for about 7-8 million a year.
Yeah.
Will it work?
That's the thing. It's also like now they're arguing about money and stuff. I would also say, if I were Di Lorenzo, I would say, hey, Conte, you want a job? You want to play in front of 60,000 people? Like, your stock is low. Look around you. Look around you at the other clubs. Who are they hiring? Manchester United, big club. Are they linked to you? No, they're not. They're linked to Thomas Frank.
Could you went to Milan?
I mean, I would never have him because he costs too much money. He doesn't fit the plan. Clubs are now either looking for value or they're rolling the dice with younger kids. Was he ever linked to the Bayern job at any point? No. Where does he think he's going to go? Juve is obviously not on the table, right? Mm-hmm. Where do you think? Real Madrid, you know, you had the shot, you turned them down. That door's never opening again.
Who's got a better chance of finishing top four next season? Bologna? Napoli?
It depends. So easy. We don't know who the Bologna manager is.
No, I'm thinking if Conte, what I'm thinking from Conte's point of view.
I think Conte will get back.
Have you had a thought Bologna, Napoli?
I mean, I would assume Napoli if Conte goes there because he's still a good coach and has a good impact. But you have to be super clear. I hope this does not end up in tears.
Me too.
And
I've got a feeling it will.
There's a risk for that, given De Laurentiis' personality.
Yeah.
You're up.
Yeah. Madrid win 2-0 against Sociedad, Gab. I bet you tell me that they were disappointed in both clubs' campaign this season.
I am. I really, really am. You know, I was watching this, and at the end, I was watching this on Liga TV, and afterwards they're like, oh, well, you know, good season for both, because Atletico are back in the Champions League, and Real Sociedad are back in the Europa League. And I'm like, no, garbage from both. First of all, if you're Atletico Madrid, any season you don't finish top three has to be viewed as a failure. Doesn't mean you get rid of Diego Simeone.
Yeah.
But that is really, really disappointing because
100%.
The gap in budget between Atletico Madrid and whoever number 4 is absolutely enormous.
And you're meant to shorten the distance between yourself
and the top two.
Barca
or at least don't let Girona pass you. And they finished way behind, incidentally. So there's that. And look, Acholo's got to work. I think we're going to see a bunch of new faces and whatever. But yeah, it's got to be disappointing. They didn't play good football. This Cholismo 2.0. We never saw that. Or we saw it only in fits and starts. They never got comfortable with it. Morata fell off a cliff in the second half of the season. But also there were times, and look, Jules and I weren't just being like, oh, look, hipsters. There was times early in the season when I played some of the best football in Europe. It was so wonderful to watch. But then they just never kick on. They just stay where they are. Part of it, people point fingers at their strikers. You have big name strikers. You have Umar Sadiq. You've got Andre Silva, Geraldo Becker coming in. Those 3 center forwards between them. Do you know how many goals they scored this season? How many goals? 8.
Oh my days.
So there's so much talent there. We all talk about how wonderful Imanol is. He's got to figure out how can I get some more consistency into this team to really do things, because there's a base there. But yeah, 6th place, I'm disappointed. Napoli and Juventus are among clubs lobbying to reduce Serie A from 20 to 18 clubs. Don, you love your Serie A.
Yeah.
Do you like this? Do you want to see less of Serie A?
No, I want to see more of Serie A.
So let's expand it to 30 teams.
Yeah, let's have a Super League in Italian football. I don't know is the answer, Gab. I don't know. It might shorten down a couple of games. It might give the players a little bit more rest or something. I'm trying to think outside the box why you'd want it to go to 18. I'm leaning towards not being a fan. I like it 20 teams. I like that number. I like the amount of games that I see, commentate on, and as a fan, try and see as much as possible. But you've been around Italian football for a lot longer than I have.
This debate's been going on for a long time. Personally, I think that every top league should have 18 clubs, and it includes the Premier League and La Liga. It's not going to happen because, as you like to say in this country, turkeys don't vote for Christmas, and that's because you eat turkey at Christmas.
Enlighten me, what would be the benefit apart from losing a couple of games?
So I think the benefit would be you would have more meaningful games. Because you wouldn't have those teams that kind of like sail through mid-table late in the season. The benefit from the perspective of Napoli and Juventus is that obviously you're splitting up the TV pie,
right?
18 ways rather than 20 ways.
Right.
Now, obviously, you've got less inventory because it's 4 less games per team. But a lot of those games that you'd be missing would be midweek rounds, which are generally less lucrative. The other benefit would be less football. For the players, and we talk about players being overextended.
And then they'll just fly to Australia like West Ham and Newcastle.
Newcastle have just done.
Newcastle
they'll find
Tottenham.
friendlies for people to play in and the ever-expanding Champions League and so on. I just think the Bundesliga have it right. I look at that. That's an even bigger country, than Spain, Italy, or England. They have 85 million people. They've got 18 clubs. The fans are really, really happy there, and they're happy in the second division. Second division will obviously get stronger, losing 2 clubs. And in Italy as well, what we've seen in recent years is, but I think you could make sure, it's not just Italy, you could say here too.
Would that be a domino effect? So 18 in Serie A, 18 Serie B?
No. It would just be the top flight. So I presume would stay at, I haven't fully thought that through. But what's interesting is, and I think what annoys them a little bit is, we see very small teams like Empoli, like Frosinone in Serie A in the same way.
What about their luck last night going down?
I know, it was heartbreaker. But the same way in this country, right? You see Burnley in Serie A, you see Brentford in Serie A, you see Bournemouth, not in Serie A, in the Premier League. You see Bournemouth in the Premier League. Nobody wants Bournemouth in the Premier League because they have a little teeny tiny stadium, right? They don't have many fans. They're not a big television draw. No, but like from a purely business perspective, right? You want Leeds, you want Southampton, you want Sheffield Wednesday should they ever get good again.
Yeah, but that's why we love it. That's why we love the jeopardy of whatever league is.
You love the jeopardy. These guys love balancing the books. No, but that mindset is out there. That mindset's affected the Premier League as well. I mean, I go back. People talk about all the money in the Premier League. Yeah, but 16 of 20 teams lose money every year in the Premier League, right? So, from a business perspective, I think this is why they want to cut it down.